DFW FCA's Faith in Sports. I'm Chris Schneider. Welcome to DFW Fellowship of Christian Athletes' weekly radio show, Faith in Sports, brought to you by the upcoming DFW FCA 50th Anniversary Celebration Dinner. On Faith in Sports today, we'll feature two more of the greatest names in football history, Dan Reeves and Tom Osborne. Dan Reeves will be one of the Dallas Cowboy greats headlining the DFW FCA 50th Anniversary Celebration Dinner. That'll be November 20th. Coach Reeves won a Super Bowl with Roger Staubach and learned how to coach from his legendary mentor.
You know, Coach Landry was one of the ones that got me started with FCA and got me involved in it, and I've been involved with it ever since then. And, you know, I think that's the same thing. I was fortunate enough to be a player and a coach. So, you know, when I became a player coach in 1970, you know, I got to know Coach Landry a little bit better, you know, from a personal standpoint with being in all the meetings and everything, and saw exactly what his life and, like you talked about earlier, the priorities in his life, his family, and, you know, his faith, and, you know, all of those things, you know, Coach Landry, you could see it in him every single day. And, you know, he got me involved where I was speaking at high schools for, you know, FCA.
More from Coach Dan Reeves coming up momentarily. Our DFW FCA Classic moment this week comes from legendary Nebraska football coach Tom Osborne, who will pass along some advice for young athletes.
I think that if they use their athletic talent to honor God, they play, they prepare, they practice in such a way that it reflects well on their faith. It honors God. That this will, I think, for the most part, produce the best possible outcome. Sometimes you think that well, you have to be a win-at-all-costs coach or a win-at-all-costs player, but ultimately that's self-defeating. So to honor him in what you do, I think, is important.
More from the great Tom Osborne a little later this half hour. This last week, all across North Texas and all across America, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes has been holding Fields of Faith events on high school campuses. So we talked with some of the high school students involved to see how they felt about the event.
Yeah, I had a great time tonight. Super fun. I really loved the worship. That's my favorite part.
Yeah, it was a really good time. Really good message.
What else did you like about it?
The band. It was a good band. They had some good songs. Some original songs that I've never heard before, but they were good songs.
It was very eye-opening for me, you know. Just, I don't know, like, God really talked to me today, and I felt like I had a reason to be here, and that this is my purpose, and, you know, it was great.
What did you think about tonight?
I thought it was fantastic. I think God did a lot of big things. There's a reason why we're all here tonight, and it's because He drew us in to hear something special and unique for all of us. So I thought it was fantastic.
We will hear more from those high school students who attended DFW FCA Fields of Faith events in just a few minutes. We would be honored to have you partner with us at DFW FCA as we continue to touch thousands and thousands of lives for Christ, just as Tom Landry envisioned when he started the DFW FCA 50 years ago. To see how you can volunteer to be a part of us or donate, go to dfwfca.org or give us a call, 214-739-8003. Our featured guest on Faith in Sports today is Dallas Cowboy great Dan Reeves, who after playing and coaching for the Cowboys, moved on to become one of the most successful NFL head coaches of all time. Coach Dan Reeves, thank you so much for joining us here on Faith in Sports today.
Oh, my pleasure. Great to be on.
Now, so many people associate you with the Cowboys. They think that accent of yours is Texan, but actually you were born in Georgia, right? What was it like growing up for you?
Well, I was born in Rome, Georgia, up in North Georgia, but moved when I was about 6 weeks old and was raised on a farm down in South Georgia between Americus and Andersonville, Georgia, and 250-acre farm, and we did a little bit of everything. So it was a great way to be raised.
I'm guessing you learned a pretty good work ethic there on the farm.
Well, I did. I had an older brother, older sister, a younger brother, and, you know, I think it was great for all of us growing up.
So when people hear your accent, they think it's a Texan accent, but it's actually a Georgian accent.
It is a Georgian accent, but spent an awful lot of time, you know, in Dallas. Certainly was influenced a great deal by the people there.
Now, a lot of people don't know that you were a quarterback, University of South Carolina, and a pretty good one, too. But you weren't drafted by the Cowboys. You had to to make the team as a free agent. I'm guessing that was a bit of a stressful time for you.
Well, I got married before my senior year at University of South Carolina. Married my high school sweetheart, Pam White, and we were expecting our first child when I went to training camp. And so, it was something I wanted to do. I dreamed about, from the time I was a young kid. And, to have an opportunity to try to make an NFL team was, in itself, something that I could cherish. But you want to make the team, and I was very fortunate I was at the right place at the right time.
Was there a question for you at the time? I mean, you have a young family, a new wife, to not play football, to maybe get a job in the secular, in the real world out there working 9 to 5?
Well, there's no question that was going through my mind. I was raised on that farm and, worked from sun up to sundown growing up. And I knew that was a possibility of going back and working with my dad on the farm. But he also owned a construction company and paving roads and, pouring concrete. And I knew I could do that too. But I wanted to play professional football very badly.
So you come in to Dallas, the Cowboys, there they are, and there's Tom Landry. What was your first impression of Coach Tom Landry? Do you remember?
Coach Landry was a person that you could be impressed with very quickly, and be in the meetings to make it through rookie camp, which was a struggle, 2-a-days every day, full pads every day. And Albert Logan and I were roommates, and we were like tackling dummies. Coach Landry would say, "Reeves, you and Logan go over there. Linebackers need somebody to tackle." So that's what we did early in training camp, and then we're able to stand out and play in some scrimmages and show what you could do. But Coach Landry was the most organized person I think I've ever been around. And, he was a no-nonsense person. I mean, you knew you were going to be on the field for 2.5, maybe 3 hours, and he had it so organized. You knew exactly what you were going to do and knew exactly when it was going to be over and what he was trying to accomplish, and he was just a very organized person.
I heard from both Bob Brunig and Cliff Harris that they remember their first team meeting with Landry where he said, "Boys, these are my top priorities. Number 1 is God, number 2 is family, and, team comes after that." Do you remember a speech like that from him?
Oh, there's no question that Coach Landry was one of those people that, he didn't just talk about it, he walked it, every single day. You knew he was a great Christian man, and you knew how important the Lord was to him, and, how important his family was. So there's no question that he had his priorities in line.
More with Cowboys great Dan Reeves coming right up, and a bit later, Tom Osborne will bring us this week's 50th anniversary classic moment. We would love to connect with you. You can find us on Facebook at DFWFCA. You can find us on Twitter at FCADFW, and our website is dfwfca.org. This is the DFW Fellowship of Christian Athletes weekly radio show, Faith in Sports, brought to you by the upcoming DFWFCA 50th anniversary celebration dinner.
Hi, this is Roger Staubach. The Fellowship of Christian Athletes was presented to me while I was at the Naval Academy. Then when I joined the Cowboys, Coach Landry reintroduced me to FCA, and I've been actively involved ever since. This year, DFW FCA celebrates 50 years of ministry to coaches and athletes, and I am happy to participate in a panel discussion with Bob Brunig, Bob Lilly, and Coach Dan Reeves at the November 20th celebration dinner. For details, just go to dfwfca.org.
In 1966, Coach Tom Landry had the inspiration to start the Fellowship of Christian Athletes in Dallas. This year, Dallas-Fort Worth FCA is celebrating God's amazing impact on coaches and athletes during our 50th anniversary. Over 16,000 students and athletes are involved with FCA in North Texas. Nearly 500 coaches and teachers volunteer their time to influence student athletes. Visit dfwfca.org for more information, including how you can pick up some one-of-a-kind 50th anniversary products like caps, shirts, coffee mugs, and more.
You are invited to the DFW FCA 50th Anniversary Dinner Celebration. Some of our best friends will be there, including Roger Staubach, Bob Lilly, Dan Reeves, and Bob Brunig. You can count on hearing some legendary Cowboy stories.
Coach Landry walks in and he says, "Hey, welcome, gentlemen. Welcome to the Dallas Cowboys." And he says, first thing I'd like to tell you, here's my priorities in life. The first one is my faith, and the second one is my family, and the third priority is my football or my work. He said, you might want to consider that as well. My faith is a faith in Christ.
It's our biggest night of the year, and we'd be honored to have you join us on our 50th anniversary dinner celebration. Go to dfwfca.org for all the information and registration. Bring your friends and family. It'll be a night you'll remember forever.
I'm Chris Schneider. Welcome back to DFW-FCA's Faith in Sports, brought to you by the upcoming 50th anniversary celebration dinner. We will continue our conversation with Dallas Cowboy great Dan Reeves momentarily. Tom Osborne will bring us this week's DFW-FCA Classic Moment, providing a little advice for young athletes. Is God calling you to serve alongside a middle school or a high school coach in your area? DFW-FCA is excited to announce our Character Coaching Initiative. Training, if you're interested, is available. Go to dfwfca.org for all the information. So let's get back to our special guest here on the show today, one of the most successful coaches in NFL history and a great player for the Dallas Cowboys before that, Dan Reeves. Now, Coach, you had a wonderful career with the Cowboys. You scored 16 touchdowns one season. You won Super Bowls with Roger Staubach and Tom Landry. Not a bad legacy at all.
Well, I was very blessed. Like I said, I was at the right place at the right time. Came there in 1965. Coach Landry had really had the team, I think, ready to compete at that time by some great draft choices. We had some great athletes, Bob Lilly, Leroy Jordan, Roger Staubach, Craig Morton, Bob Hayes, Cornell Green. It just goes on and on, all of the number of great players that we had. So Coach Landry had done a great job of, getting the Cowboys ready to compete. And in 1965, we were a 500 football team and, finished second in the division, and we were ready to compete. From there on, we did really well and win the playoffs every single year.
Well, you look back now, I mean, when you're living it, you're living it. You can't see the forest for the trees, but as you look back now, what do you consider the highlights of your Cowboy career? Is there anything that sticks out?
Well, there's no question from a player standpoint. The year you're talking about in '66, we led the league in scoring. I was fortunate to score 16 touchdowns. Highlight something never dreamed would happen. So that was a great year for us. We got beat by the Packers, for the right to go to the first Super Bowl, in the championship game. And that year really stands out, and I think kind of launched, the rest of my career there in Dallas.
You were scoring so many touchdowns, it was getting boring for you.
Yeah, my dad, when I didn't score one week, he called and wanted to know if I got hurt. I said, Daddy, I'm not going to score every single game. And so, it was just a great thrill. But like I said, Don Meredith was our quarterback, and Don was just a super talented quarterback. And, Don Perkins, who I have to credit him with helping me so much to be a running back, because I'd never played that position. Don would stay with me after practice and work not only with me, but other players too, with your stance and how to block and, how to run routes, so forth. He was just a great, mentor for me, and I can never thank Don Perkins enough.
Great teammate, man. So Tom Landry started the DFW Fellowship of Christian Athletes 50 years ago this year. Do you remember Coach Landry being involved with FCA when he was coaching you?
Well, no question. Coach Landry was one of the ones that got me started with FCA and got me involved in it, and I've been involved with it ever since then. And, I think that's the same thing. I was fortunate to be a player and a coach. So, when I became a player coach in 1970, I got to know Coach Landry a little bit better. From a personal standpoint, with being in all the meetings and everything, and saw exactly what his life, and like you talked about earlier, the priorities in his life, his family, and, his faith, and, all of those things, Coach Landry, you could see it in him every single day. And, he got me involved where I was speaking at high schools for, FCA, and, he was just so involved in it and knew that it was something that this country needed so badly, and I think you look back on it, you can't ever say enough about what FCA has done for this country.
Thank you, Coach. We will look forward to you and fellow former Dallas Cowboy greats Roger Staubach, Bob Lilly, and Bob Brunig telling stories at the 50th anniversary celebration dinner November 20th. Coming up next, we will hear from some high school students taking part in DFW-FCA's Fields of Faith events this last week. We will also get this week's 50th anniversary classic moment from the one and only Tom Osborne. DFW-FCA would be honored to have you be a part of our year-long celebration. You can find some one-of-a-kind 50th anniversary apparel for men and women and youth, great gifts and accessories and clothing. Go to dfwfca.org. Check out the official store for FCA gear. This is the DFW Fellowship of Christian Athletes weekly radio show, Faith in Sports, brought to you by the 50th anniversary celebration dinner.
DFW-FCA offers you the chance to have dinner with four of the greatest Dallas Cowboys of all time. Captain Comeback Roger Staubach will be holding court with some of them.
Dan was a great coach. I mean, he was a lot like Coach Landry. Very good X and O guys. And Bob Lilly's the best of the best. And Bob Bruning became a fantastic linebacker and was my roommate. So it's always fun getting together, and whether you see Leroy or Chuck, or I see Drew Pearson or Tony Dorsett or any of these guys.
Join us for our 50th anniversary dinner celebration with Staubach, Reeves, Lilly, and Brunig. You'll kick yourself if you miss it. Go to dfwfca.org for all the information.
At FCA, we're touching millions one heart at a time. Since 1954, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes has been putting the heart and soul in sports by challenging athletes and coaches to impact the world for Jesus Christ. As the largest sports ministry in the world, FCA now reaches over 2 million people annually on the professional, college, high school, junior high, and youth levels. Through this shared passion for athletics and faith, lives are changed, one heart at a time. Learn more at fca.org.
Fields of Faith.
It's time for this generation to lead.
Students are ready to challenge each other.
The movement of God is happening.
And it's happening in communities like yours.
One day,
one message,
one stand.
We are sharing our faith,
and we are reading God's Word.
We are sharing what God has done in our lives.
We are filling stadiums by the hundreds
and by the thousands. We are Fields of Faith.
Every year, across the country, Fields of Faith.
I'm Chris Schneider. Welcome back to DFW-FCA's Faith in Sports, brought to you by the upcoming 50th anniversary celebration dinner. Tom Osborne has the 50th anniversary classic moment coming right up. We would like to thank you for your prayers and your blessings for North Texas FCA. This ministry has over 16,000 student athletes attending after-school Bible clubs that we call FCA huddles. Over 600 volunteer coaches and leaders serve this ministry. There's always something exciting going on with the FCA team in North Texas, and we would love to have you join us. Go to dfwfca.org and get all the information. Now, the last couple of weeks has been very special for the DFW-FCA, holding Fields of Faith events on high school campuses all over North Texas. Fields of Faith events allow students to come together for ministry, worship, music, message, and just a good time. I had the honor and the pleasure of catching up with a lot of these wonderful kids to see what they thought of Fields of Faith.
It was awesome.
What was awesome about it?
The way God moves in you. It's been a while, and now I know He's with me.
Amen. How about you? What did you like about Fields of Faith?
Everything. Yeah, there's nothing. I love the worship, the message, moving.
Thank you. How about you?
I like the testimonies, like to see like different perspectives, like how God worked and like different lives. Yeah.
Think you'll be back to another Fields of Faith?
Yeah, definitely.
How about you? What'd you think?
I loved it. I think what I loved the most was the worship and how it was just an open place and just worshiping God in the sky and just actually just looking up to the heavens and just praising God, and you can really just feel God's presence just on here and just on the field. So
I loved the worship and just being with everybody that we knew that loved God just as much as we did. And
I thought it was really cool and great encounter.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. So what was so great about it?
The worship was incredible, and the message I thought really just speaks with us.
I agree with her too, and all the people's stories they gave me chills. They were so incredible.
Did you have a good time?
Yeah, I had a great time tonight. It was super fun. I really loved the worship. That's my favorite part.
Yeah, it was a really good time. Really good message.
What else did you like about it?
The band. It was a good band. They had some good songs. Some original songs that I've never heard before, but they were good songs.
It was very eye-opening for me, Just, I don't know, God really talked to me today, and I felt like I had a reason to be here, and that this is my purpose, and, it was great.
What'd you think about tonight?
I thought it was fantastic. I think God did a lot of big things. There's a reason why we're all here tonight, and it's because He drew us in to hear something special and unique for all of us. So I thought it was fantastic just to be at a stadium, cool venue like this, to hear God's word. It's just incredible.
Did you have a good time tonight?
I did. It was awesome. I like the community of Christians and all coming together to worship God.
I think the worship was really great, and the prayer was a lot of fun.
Cool. That band was pretty good too.
It was.
It was all really fun. I went last year, and so I really enjoyed it.
It was better last year or this year?
Ooh, that's tough. I don't know. I think they're different.
You guys have a good time tonight?
Yes.
All right. What'd you like about it?
The worship. I like the speakers that talked about their testimonies.
Think anybody got saved tonight?
Yeah, I think multiple people did. Even if they didn't come out, I feel like they were impacted by it, and they'll probably go after it more.
I liked the prayer team because people feel like they can't talk to certain people, so I thought it was good that y'all gave someone for them to talk to.
I thought this was just outstanding. Everyone, you could just feel the presence of Jesus here. It was just honestly a blast, and a lot of people gave their life. It was amazing.
I loved his story about his fear for roller coasters, and his cousin got him to have a taste of what roller coasters are like, and so he wanted to go on more, and how he related that to Jesus and living his life with faith, and that's his testimony. That was my favorite thing about tonight.
Think you'll remember that?
Yeah, definitely.
Did you have a good time tonight?
I did. It was awesome.
What'd you like about it?
I really liked the worship. It was really awesome.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What else?
I really liked sharing my testimony. That was pretty cool.
Well, it's my first time here, and so I really like seeing a bunch of people who I never thought would be here, and be so in love with the Lord, and it was truly amazing. And seeing people's testimonies, it was really, really cool.
Now, is Fields of Faith important?
I think it is, because it really gives kids an opportunity to come outside of school and just meet up with everyone and just see the different walks of life, and just, like Jessa said, new kids that you never expect would be here to come and speak and see whatever. And so I just think it's a great opportunity.
It was a lot of fun tonight. I learned a lot about more Jesus Christ, and it was very, very powerful and emotional to me.
Excellent. How about you? Did you learn anything tonight?
Yes, it was a blast. I had a lot of fun. I learned a lot about God, and I should open my heart to Him.
Amen. How about you?
It was such a powerful night, and I'm definitely excited for next year.
Greatness. Next year already.
Oh, yeah.
Next weekend.
Let's do it 2 weeks in a row, right?
Yeah. All year, every weekend.
I had a great time tonight.
What'd you like about it?
The music was nice, yeah.
I love the kids speaking. I mean, listening to their stories is great.
Honestly, at the end, when we were just all praying for a solid 3 minutes, just being who we are and being with God, it was pretty amazing to me.
Some amazing high school students who took part in DFW FCA's Fields of Faith events on high school campuses all over North Texas and all over the nation the last few weeks. Very inspiring. And next week, we will hear from the Fields of Faith parents. You don't want to miss that. It's time now for the DFW FCA 50th Anniversary Classic moment, delivered this week by one of the greatest college football coaches of all time, Nebraska's Tom Osborne, who offers some advice for young athletes.
I think that if they use their athletic talent to honor God, they play, they prepare, they practice in such a way that it reflects well on their faith. It honors God. That this will, I think, for the most part, produce the best possible outcome. Sometimes you think that you have to be a win-at-all-costs coach or a win-at-all-costs player, but ultimately that's self-defeating. So to honor him in what you do, I think, is important. And of course, in honoring him, that means that you don't just go out there and give it a half-hearted attempt. That you're fully engaged. You're very disciplined, and whether it be in the weight room or running or agility drills or preseason practice, whatever it may be, you have to be very committed. But I think that in the long run, serving and honoring God will yield the best results.
University of Nebraska coaching legend Tom Osborne with this week's 50th Anniversary Classic moment. Thank you, Coach. Attention business owners who are friends of FCA, you can save money and support DFW FCA. Learn how what your business does every day can help support this amazing ministry. Go to dfwfca.org and get all the details. Coming up next, we'll tell you who the special guest is going to be joining us here on the show next week. This is DFW FCA's Faith in Sports, brought to you by the 50th Anniversary Celebration Dinner.
Mark your calendar for the biggest event of the season. You are invited to dinner with Roger Staubach, Dan Reeves, Bob Brunig, and this guy, Mr. Cowboy, Bob Lilly. Sounds like a lot of fun, Bob.
It really does. I'm really looking forward to it. Of course, Dan and Roger and Brunig are all dear friends of mine, and FCA is a dear friend of mine as well, and I'm really looking forward to it.
You think you and Roger and Dan and Bob can come up with any stories?
There's no question. I can come up with one on Roger real fast.
You don't want to miss that story. It's the DFW FCA 50th Anniversary Dinner Celebration, November 20th at the Irving Convention Center. Registration and information at dfwfca.org.
Did you know that after a trip to an FCA sports camp in Estes Park, Colorado in 1962, Dallas Cowboys coach Tom Landry felt inspired to use his position as a coach to influence young student athletes? So in 1966, 50 years ago, Coach Landry helped launch the Fellowship of Christian Athletes in Dallas. Hi, I'm Rick Bowles, North Texas Director for the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and I'd like to ask you to tell us your FCA story. What impact did FCA have or is currently having on your life? Visit dfwfca.org for more information.
Hi, this is Roger Staubach. The Fellowship of Christian Athletes was presented to me while I was at the Naval Academy. Then when I joined the Cowboys, Coach Landry reintroduced me to FCA, and I've been actively involved ever since. This year, DFW FCA celebrates 50 years of ministry to coaches and athletes, and I am happy to participate in a panel discussion with Bob Brunig, Bob Lilly, and Coach Dan Reeves at the November 20th celebration dinner. For details, just go to dfwfca.org.
Chris Schneider, thank you for joining us for DFW FCA's Faith in Sports radio show, brought to you by the fast approaching DFW FCA 50th Anniversary Celebration Dinner. We would love to connect with you. You can always find us on Facebook at DFW FCA. You can find us on Twitter at FCA DFW, and our website is dfwfca.org. Our thanks to our special guests on the show today, Coach Dan Reeves and Coach Tom Osborne. I'm Chris Schneider, the Sports and Spirit Speaker. You can find me at radioactivespeaking.com. Godly messages with stories from the greatest coaches and athletes of all time. Find me, the Sports and Spirit Speaker, at radioactivespeaking.com. One of the 4 Dallas Cowboy legends headlining the upcoming DFW FCA 50th Anniversary Celebration Dinner will be the featured guest on the show next week, the man known as Mr. Cowboy, Bob Lilly. Del Harris, one of the most successful NBA coaches of all time, will provide us with a classic moment. Guests scheduled to join us in future weeks include Roger Staubach, Bob Brunig, Mike Singletary, Herschel Walker, Cliff Harris, Kurt Warner, and many others. FCA's Faith in Sports is an outreach of DFW Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Hosted and produced by me, Chris Schneider. Executive producer is Rick Bowles. For information on DFW FCA, contact Rick at rbowles, that's RBOWLES, at FCA.org. And remember this week to do all that you do unto the Lord Jesus Christ. God bless you. From the DFW Fellowship of Christian Athletes, Faith in Sports.